But we are dealing with the Boris wave. This is where the misreport...
No. You cannot get away with that because people on ILR have been here for many decades sometimes.
It's great to see Reform being challenged on their poorly thought out policy proposals that seem to occur every other day now and are routinely exposed as having more holes than Swiss cheese. Here, not only do we have Labour MP Stella Creasy laying out the realities of Reform's latest idea of scrapping indefinite leave to remain, but Iain sticks in the boot too. All the while, Reform chairman David Ball tries to defend this back-of-an-envelope shamfest.
So
not just people who've come in the last few years.
Citizenship?
Pardon?
Why don't they want to apply for
Because some of them can't, because they can't have dual citizenship. Let me read you this text from a friend of mine who's probably one of the most right-wing people I know. I won't say who it is. You can all have a sweepstake. Farage's abolition of indefinite leave to remain is just so stupid it is hard to know where to begin. As reported, it would require my wife, who has it, to give up her US citizenship to be allowed to stay in the UK. And even then, as she cannot work and is dependent on me, there is no guarantee that she could get permission to stay. And what about those who are now pensioners? I'm all for saying that those on ILR cannot claim benefits or use the NHS perhaps, or they co-pay as they're not citizens as such, but this is just moronic. Also, why not just target it at people from whom Trump calls from, I can't say the word, S-hole countries with the right case by case to say no to a convict from America or someone who's never worked from New Zealand, etc. Now, I mean, if somebody on what I would describe as the hard right is taking that view, obviously due to his personal circumstances, do you not think this has gone one step too far, that you're going to lose an awful lot of people who might have been thinking of voting Reform, but just look at this and think, I'm sorry, this is just wrong?
I've had nothing but good comments, actually, over the last 24 hours. And also the point about the NHS, and having worked in the NHS, we've been too reliant on cheap labour, which we're importing to this country. I want to train British people to do those jobs. And actually, for young people in this country, there is a poverty of aspiration. They can't see themselves on the ladder at all. Why aren't we actually paying social care workers much more and actually training British people?
So that's another public expenditure commitment, is it? Because it seems to me at the moment Reform are coming out with all sorts of commitments, a bit like the Labour Party used to do back in the day, and you haven't got the faintest idea how you're going to pay for them.
Well, we will have that fully costed for you by the time of the election, Iain.
Well, I hope you'll have it well before then so we can scrutinise it. Stella?
I mean, it's economically illiterate, factually incorrect, and frankly
says the
insulting.
Government that has a huge fiscal hole where you don't actually know where the money's coming from.
Because I've listened to you. I mean, it's extraordinary. You sit there. The Centre for Policy Studies even admits that the numbers that you've based this on are completely factually incorrect, but somehow you know better than them. Actually, there are lots of studies that show the long-term net impact of having immigration is a benefit.
What, low-skilled immigration?
One of the things... Can I finish talking, please? One of the things that we don't really talk about is one of the reasons why there was an increase in immigration, which is going down, is post the pandemic, there was a whole chunk of people who came to study in the United Kingdom. Perhaps we can find common ground that we shouldn't really put students into the immigration numbers. That blip has gone down. You've got all the people who came from Hong Kong. You've got the people who came from the Ukraine. The British public have seen what these kind of policies lead to. They saw it in America. And I frankly don't think the British public have the stomach to see somebody who has worked in our NHS, kept them well, treated them, and then be kicked out of this country. If you want to make people repeatedly apply for their visas, which is what you're talking about doing,
as you do in the United States, for example.
All you are trying to do is create a money-making exercise.
That is not true.
You make it harder for people to get a bank account, you make it harder for businesses. And also, I can't even believe that we have to talk about this, but there's something called the lump of labour fallacy that Reform doesn't even seem to understand, which for a party that wants to seek government is just embarrassing. The point about immigration is it's not that people come here and take jobs, it's that they come here and create jobs. So actually they are creating opportunities. We have a challenge with youth unemployment in this country, absolutely, but it is not going to be solved by kicking out the people who've kept the NHS going. And frankly, it's just insulting to the British public that you would suggest otherwise.
Click here for more Reform reprobates.